Look, I'm just a geologist. I like rocks. I love rocks.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the Geology Flannelcast. My name is Steve.
Hey, what's up? I'm Chris.
I am Jesse.
And
I like to bring it every time. I want it to be my thing.
yeah, we're super excited to be here for yet another episode 55.
55.
55.
I feel like we didn't celebrate 50, so maybe we'll celebrate 55.
Yeah, I wish I had a bell. I'd be ringing it right now. Ding,
The-
ding, 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 ding.
What do we do for episode 50? I feel like we had a guest on for episode 50.
We did.
Yeah, they let us down. Oh, yeah.
What?
I'm kidding. Guests never let us down. They're always awesome.
Dude, if it was Kelly, she'll kick your ass, man. You have to be
Yeah.
careful.
Oh, that is true. No, Kelly's episodes are always our most popular episodes. Kelly should really just host this podcast and we should just come along. So if you're listening, Kelly, that's not really an option. I take that back.
Nope, she's in charge now. I wish she would join. She joins this call right now, mutes us. I'm in charge now.
I'm the captain now. She is the captain. We used to call her the captain back in grad school.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
So, well, episode 50, we actually had a bang for episode 50. That was we had Ryan come on, Jesse's brother Ryan.
Oh
come on.
gosh.
Oh,
Chris Conwell talked about the Ordovician and strontium and all that fun stuff.
Less fun for me.
Yeah. So, well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's why don't we just pay the bills?
Yeah, let's do it. Formattingformula.com. Have you ever had to format a Word document? And the answer is yes. Who is listening to a podcast who hasn't had to use Word ever? If you are one of those people, please send us a message. I'd really like to hear your story.
If you've never used Word?
Yeah. Think about it.
My grandmother's never used it.
Is she listening to this podcast?
Yeah.
Probably not.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you're tech savvy enough to listen to a podcast, chances are you've used Word at some point in your life.
Prove us wrong. Steve at geologyflannelcast.com.
Exactly. But I'm actually I use formattingformula.com so much now that I'm actually spoiled. Like I don't even bother trying to figure out how to format something. I just go right to the website, right to the YouTube videos, YouTube/C/formattingformula.com. And I just watch a video. It's like, 7 to 6, 5, 4, 3, 10-minute videos on anything you need to do and all the different versions of Word. The formatting formula actually contacted me. It's like, I can tell you what all the different versions of Word are. You don't have to keep saying like Word 4.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, feel free to send that to me and I'll just ignore it.
Word 4.
I love you, formatting formula. But no, all different versions of Word. They have videos for Mac and for PC because they're slightly different. All different crazy stuff that you can do with it that would really, really make your life easier. Even if you just use Word once a week, the formatting formula can help you out somehow. I used it for my master's thesis. I know people have used it for their PhD dissertations. I've known people have just had an issue like, I just can't get this table to update. How do I look at that? You go to youtube.com/C/formula and bam, you figure it out in just a few minutes. So please check them out. And please, please, please tell them that the Geology Flannelcast sent you because we want to continue paying the bills with the formatting formula. Pretty soon they're going to catch on that we're really, we're only helping out so much. But so check them out. I love them. You love them.
Steve, just to let you know, Word 6 came out in 1993.
There you go. See?
Was there a Word 1 through 5, or was it one of those weird tech things?
I remember there was something called Word Perfect, but I think that is not a Microsoft product.
There's WinWord. Yeah, word perp. Who cares? We're not doing that, people. We don't deal with word anymore.
But what if we were like a historical PC podcast?
Then our podcast name would be different.
It would, and we'd probably have even less listeners.
It would be single digits, if that.
But how many? Last week we were up to 197,000 downloads, so we're getting really close to that 200,000 download mark. I think once we hit 250,000, we should do something.
Yeah, that'll sure, whatever you want, like a moon bounce, like petting zoo.
Ooh, 225,000 downloads. We get a moon bounce and we podcast from a moon bounce.
Actually, I wouldn't mind that at all. I mean,
Sounds incredible.
yeah. Hey, so tell your friends to download the Geology Flannelcast.
Yeah.
And you can hear us on. We're not going to get a moon bounce. Who's kidding here? That's.
I mean,
Chances are COVID will still be going on, and we'll be all.
I hope. No, that's terrible to say. I don't know how.
You hope.
I would like to think that we're going to get 225,000 downloads soon. Let me put it that way. Sooner than COVID will probably go away.
I mean, I'll jump on my bed or something while I'll simulate a moon bounce.
There you go. Yeah. I like it. My kids
So,
will like it too.
If you want to watch Jesse jump on his bed, you can become a Diamond Patreon at $25 a month, and Jesse will.
I would, yes. If you become a Diamond Patreon, I will definitely podcasts. It'll make you like motion sick because my camera will just be like shaking. Because I assume I'll be holding my laptop while.
Yeah,
I just imagine it'd be like the 1979 video by Smashing Pumpkins. Like
exactly,
just jumping on his bed.
Meanwhile, anyone who's younger than 35 is like, "What is he talking about?"
Yeah, nobody knows. Yeah, smashing what?
What is a music video?
Yeah. All right, so let's enough with the rambling and ranting and raving and.
But formatting formula, check them out. Longest commercial ever. But let's. But Patreon, that is a good segue. We do have Patreon. We do appreciate anybody who's willing to help and support us. We have a Patreon listener listening to us right now. Mark, he got to listen to us before we actually started recording too. So that's one of the perks of being a Patreon.
Little Q&A session, little meet and greet and hang out, Get to know us. Get to know the other side of the Flannelcast.
Yeah. We'll get into some conspiracy theories and all kinds of weird stuff.
Oh, you missed the Bob Lazar conversation before we started recording. Ooh,
no,
you don't know who Bob Lazar is.
you didn't miss anything.
Yeah, until like that's all I start looking into now.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Aliens are real. What?
Aliens,
all right,
man.
Nobody cares about. Nobody that's tuning into this podcast wants to hear about aliens. Let's talk about geology. This is the Geology Flannelcast. We should Flannelcast geology topics.
Yeah, if you do care about aliens, let us know. We'll do a spinoff.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Or
you
become
also
a
missed
Patreon
that conversation too.
Because when you're a Patreon, you get to suggest topics. So
I hope it's all Bigfoot.
And all right, I got a story. It's not exactly aliens. It's kind of you could think maybe related, but it has to do with COVID. Let's start off with this one. What the hell? Here we go.
I want to see where the connection is here. This is incredible.
For those of you who are listening, Jesse and I are like literally sitting on the edges of our seats because we have no idea what Chris is about to say. But if you're watching, I'm just gonna go ahead and put my sunglasses on and just sit back.
Yeah.
All right. Let me. So we got a bunch of some timely news topics today that we're going to be talking. And let me just send this over to the fellas right now.
Wait, are you not going to tell us about aliens and COVID?
Yeah.
No. Well, I mean, so I'm just sending you the link first. Here's
I'm sorry.
the link.
Are you actually going to give us 10 seconds to look this up?
Yeah, I did. I actually saw this story.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
All right. So
like
if this made me think,
I did see this story too. Nice.
this one made me think, like, is this really a good idea? Because so let me start off. I think I said the story once before in the podcast, actually fairly recently, within the last couple months or so, since we did our reboot. But let me just start off with saying a complete urban legend in the field of geology, all right? I can't confirm nor deny this story. We've all three of us have heard this story. And so there is a gentleman, he was a geologist, he was a miner, working in a mine, not under the age of 18.
Actually, we can't confirm or deny what his age was, but carry on.
Allegedly, no. So the gentleman was a miner, and he was working in this mine and was looking for some kind of mineral. They're mining some type of mineral that had potassium in it and it had a bitter taste.
I think it was a salt mine.
Oh, was it a salt mine?
Yeah, it was a salt mine.
Okay, I don't know what it was. I just made that potassium part of it. It doesn't matter.
No, you're correct. It was that they would actually direct the mining operation. Like if it's more potassium rich, it's more bitter. So they would actually steer the mining. Yeah, based on.
Just keep in mind, this story is probably not true.
And I think we've told this story on the podcast before.
No, so I'll go real fast then. I don't want to bore people that have already heard this story, but the gentleman was licking the walls of the mine wherever it was bitter. That's where they would extract for that mineral.
Yeah, the snozberries taste like snozberries.
Exactly. I love that movie. I didn't see the second Super Troopers.
First of all, that line is from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. But
schnozberries taste like schnozberries?
Yeah.
Super Troopers.
It's Super Troopers ripped it off, like stole that line from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Really?
Yes.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes. Oh. I think it's Veruca Salt says it.
Veruca Salt. There's your 1990s band reference. Alt-rock band reference right there.
Anyway, carry on.
So the gentleman was looking.
I'm taking these glasses off. Can't see my screen. They're polarized.
He went home one day and his tongue swelled up. No, he didn't know what was wrong. Went to the emergency room. Doctors had no idea. Started asking him questions. What do you do for a living? If he said, I work in a mine. They found out he's licking the walls of the mine. Anyways, what homeboy did was he reactivated a virus that was like hundreds of millions of years old, because once he licked it, the conditions in your mouth, in the human mouth, are just a breeding ground for viruses and bacteria and all that fun stuff. So long story short, they had to amputate this gentleman's tongue. So
yeah.
Don't lick the walls of the mine, and also don't lick the rocks. Nothing good can come of this. So
that is not true. I've licked lots of rocks.
Why would you do that? Why?
Find out the salt content, and or to find out if it's a fossil. If you lick a fossil, it'll stick to your tongue.
Have you ever seen? I think it's a Japanese game show where they're in a room, and there's some of the objects are made of chocolate, but they look like everyday objects. So they have to go around fighting different things. That's how I.
What rabbit hole did you find that game show?
I don't know, but I want rocks in nature to be like that. Like one day I just bite into it.
Yeah, what else looks like chocolate you see on the ground?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just down along the Chesapeake Bay last week, and I was walking along the coast, and there's rocks, and because we had some big storms roll through, and it always just flushes things down, and it's kind of nice to pick up big nice pieces of granite and stuff. And there was one, and I stepped on it, and it just went squish. And it was just a ball of clay, and I was not expecting it. I was like, ooh, that's not a rock. Like a ball of clay that washed out.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't want to say this, but where are you going to find granite? I guess maybe the northern Chesapeake Bay, right? You can find...
Yeah, it washes.
Metamorphic outcrops. Okay.
Yeah, it's just...
I was just waiting. I'm just protecting you, because I know people will send emails saying...
Yeah.
It's all coastal plain, but no, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it's all
the Chesapeake Bay is from the Susquehanna River, which is if not the oldest river system on the planet.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. Okay.
Thanks for giving me river erosion.
Anyways, so I got this news story, and the headline is: scientists have quote, woken up microbes trapped under the seafloor for 100 million years. This horrifies me because this is like, I don't know. I'm very concerned that this is like COVID part 2 happening. Let's see. Researchers have successfully revived tiny microbes trapped dormant in a seemingly lifeless zone of the seabed for more than 100 million years. So basically, these researchers collected sediment cores and they found these microbes in this 100 million year old sediment, and they were able to, I guess, for lack of a better term, I'm not a biologist, but revive these microbes.
Yeah, so I guess they fed it. They gave it some.
Yeah. I was just looking for. They give it. Yeast. Okay.
They gave it oxygen.
Yeah.
And traceable substrates containing carbon and nitrogen.
Yes, that was the line I was looking for. Yeah. Oxygen, carbon, and nitrogen. Yeah.
So basically, they were buried under like immense pressure with no oxygen for 100 million years, and then they brought them back up and were like, "Here, little buddy, have some food."
Yeah, so, I think they're dropping and they're like, "Live, damn it!"
Yeah. It's like this is like. Well, actually, Steve was wearing before we started recording. Steve was wearing the sunglasses because he said, "I'm gonna mimic or
I'm gonna weekend at Bernie's."
Weekend at Bernie's. This is like microbial weekend at Bernie's right here.
Yeah, well, that would be Weekend at Bernie's too, when the voodoo actually makes them come alive.
Well, there's your first 90s movie reference of the day. I'll write that down on my dry erase board.
That's a good question. I don't know.
There you go. One 90s reference. What's a good question?
Yeah, Weekend at Bernie's was 1993. You're right.
Huh.
So.
Oh, were you? Oh, yeah. What'd you think? It could have been 80s?
Yeah, I was thinking 80s. I'm guessing Weekend at Bernie's 1 was.
Probably was. That was.
Don't worry, I'll check it out.
He's looking at. All right, so let's get by. Steve's doing this very important fact checking about Weekend at Bernie's. This is crazy. No,
1989. That would count
89,
as an 80s
okay.
movies.
80s. So these people, these scientists that were working on this, were able to revive up to 99% of the original microbe community.
Yeah, 99.1%.
99.1%. So like 0.9% wasn't able to, come back alive.
Yeah, like they're like, wait, what?
What are you doing?
Year is it?
I don't know. I'm sure it was, very controlled situations, but I thought that was kind of funny, just to kind of compare that to, like, all
funny
right,
or like crazy, like
crazy. Yeah,
crazy is
a better
for
term,
the second time in 2 weeks. Jeff Goldblum, life will find a way.
Oh yeah, there you go. Classic movie. One of these, we've been talking about this for a while, but one of these days we're going to sit down, we're going to watch a geology related movie together, and you'll hear our commentary.
I'm all in.
Yeah. Okay, we should do that pretty soon. We've gotten some emails. You guys should watch it. People have given us geology movies to watch and for us to critique and comment, but we really need to do that.
Episode 60. Let's call it out right now.
I'm writing on my dry erase board. Episode 60. Perfect. Done. All right. Yeah. You heard it first. That's we at 55 today?
Yeah. So
yeah. 5 weeks from now.
Yeah. So this one's going to come out on the 4th.
Yeah. Right when all of us have to start teaching.
Yeah. September 7th, right after Labor Day there.
No, September 1st. Wait.
That's a Tuesday.
55, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh.
Yeah, September 8th.
Yeah.
It'll come out.
Oh, yeah. We release them we record these on Mondays.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let you behind the curtain here.
All right. I don't know how we're going to do this.
I think one movie would have to be 2 episodes, so we could leave them dangling.
All right. Well, we'll talk about this. We'll talk about this off air.
What?
No, let's work out all the details.
All people really want to hear is what our organizational skills are.
Our buddy Mark says they need to put those microbes back. This is not the year to be.
Yeah. We got enough going on.
What are you doing? We don't need this right now.
Yeah.
That's why I was, I was giving a lecture on air pollution today, and I talked about natural sources. And one of the things I was like, the Australian wildfires happened this year. Remember those?
Yeah.
That was this year.
I just saw a report. It was something ridiculous. Like 3 billion animals died or were burned by that fire.
It was a
It was
lot.
bad. It was very, very bad.
Yeah, and the koala bears. Oh,
Yeah.
that was this year. Yeah, you forget about that.
Yeah, February.
This was also the year the aliens came out, but that's
A lot of things have happened.
Yeah, we're burying the lead on that one. It didn't happen, man. Yeah, so you're right, Seminac. Like and Mark, this is not the year to be messing with this stuff. Come on.
Yeah, just
give us like 2 years.
Yeah.
But then again, like, I could totally see myself being like, hey, what do you think would happen if we just, put some oxygen on this and give them a little nitrogen?
I know how this turned out. This is like some assistant professor is like, if I could bring these back, I'll publish in Nature and I'll get tenure and like everything will be great. Like,
well, this makes it. So it was a deep sea core drilled.
Yeah, the Joyce resolution. Yeah.
Yeah.
See the shirt? See the shirt?
Oh, look at you wearing all of the core I worked on for my PhD was drilled by the Joyce resolution. No, that's not true. 2 of the core, the others were on land. So
yeah, I was gonna say, I thought you did a coastal plain.
But I worked in the core repository where a lot of the Joyce resolution stuff was stored. I was breathing in that sediment. I didn't wear a face mask. I was just.
Well, I wonder how long it took them let me see if the article, if it says how long it took for that microbial activity to come back.
21 days, 6 weeks, or 18 months.
For it to come back? Because it said it where's the line in there in that article? It said it quadrupled after a certain amount of time. It quadrupled in 68 days. Okay. Oh, so it came back. They opened it after 21 days. Okay.
So I'm just wondering if I've got 100 million year old like bacteria in my sinus or something.
I mean, did your tongue swell up? You have to amputate your tongue?
No, I didn't. I didn't lick the core. I just I breathed deeply as I was dry cutting it. Just dust everywhere.
Jesse also once told me a story. He's convinced he had Lyme's disease, and
no, I did have Lyme.
He did have Lyme's disease. Yeah.
Did you get treated?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's no joke.
I thought that you didn't get treated for it, and you're just like, I think it's
no way to make this awkward, Chris.
Yeah, no. It may. There's a good. So, in Chris's defense, I'm a little bit of a hypochondriac. So there was probably before I had it, there was probably an occasion where I was like, yeah, I've had ticks on me, and I've dug out the ticks, and I've thought I've had it. But yeah, it was the summer I got my appendix out. Like 3 weeks later, I got Lyme disease.
Damn.
Wait, I didn't know you don't have your appendix.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
Appendix free since 2003.
No, I don't.
Oh, boy, is your brother going to chime in on this one too? Like,
yeah.
I don't know about that year.
No, it was 2016. I think it was
really?
the summer of Jesse.
The summer of Jesse.
Oh, no, I did know you got your appendix out. That's
it was like a week before my birthday. And then, I remember I got, this story's going to, this is a good story for like doing field work and stuff. I got a weird rash on the back of my leg, and it was really itchy. And I thought it was spider bite because it was like sort of red and it was hard, like a big spider bite. I was like, oh, I got a spider bite, scratch, scratch, scratch. And it just got a big rash on the back of because I've had ticks in me before, and I've had the bullseye before.
That's not good.
No. Well, I mean, just Pennsylvania, Tick City.
I've had tick bites where there was like a bump afterwards, and it was like there's no bullseye, but
you should get tested because this didn't. I remember going to a barbecue at my friend's house. Remember going to barbecues? They were great.
Remember when we socialized and
you could see there's
going to friends' houses. Yeah.
Wow. But my friend, who's a doctor, she was like, "Hey Jesse, what's going on with the back of your leg there?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I got a spider bite, and it's just really itchy." She's like, "Yeah, that looks really infected. You should see your doctor about that." Well, luckily, I was going to another barbecue with my doctor. It was my doctor's house, and I went to his barbecue. I was like, "Hey, what's going on here? He's like, oh yeah, it looks like, dermatitis or something. So he prescribed me some antibiotics. And I went for a follow-up. He didn't prescribe me right there at drinking beers at the barbecue.
Let me write you a script.
Yeah, he's like, come to my
Two
office
tick
on
bites.
Monday.
No, just one, buddy. You're just seeing double right now.
But it ended up, it was like a month-long process of like figuring out what it was, because I got a Lyme disease test and it came back negative, but it was a false
negative. Yeah, my son got Lyme's disease. He got bit at school, and it was the classic bullseye on the side of his chest. And at the time that we took him to the doctor, and they're like, no, it's just a spider bite. I was like, it looks pretty much like a bullseye, and they're like, no, he's fine. And then like a month later, his knee swelled up to like the size of a basketball.
Yeah.
And on like a Saturday, so we of course take him to urgent care, and like an orthopedic urgent care, which that's a thing. And the doctor took 1 second. She's like, he's got Lyme's disease. I was like, you didn't even like do anything. She's like, nope, it's Lyme's disease. I was like, okay. So we take him to the hospital, and then they look up his file, and there's this picture of this bullseye. They're like, yeah, that's when he got it. It's like, son of a.
Yeah. So that time I did not have the bullseye. And sure enough, like, I got another test a couple weeks later, and they're like, yep.
Yeah. And that's what they say, skin cancer and Lyme's disease. That's the plague of the geologist.
I mean, I had one Lyme's disease scare, and one of my close friends down here in Georgia he's a doctor, and I talked to him. I was like, what do you think about this thing? I got a tick bite here, and I showed him, and he's just like, I don't know. I'll prescribe you some meds, flush it out of your system, because it was like pretty fast. He goes, I think we can flush it out of your system relatively fast. So I put me on some antibiotics, which is the same thing that they put you on for anti-malarial meds. And man, oh man, did I have some crazy dreams, like waking up in the middle of the night and like, I don't know if this is reality or what's going on right now. It was wild what this medication did. But
so rocks, right?
Yeah, so we
went on a bit of a
this is a good PSA.
Well, it's for field work. I mean, the geologists listening, I'm sure everybody's got a Lyme disease. I've had your Lyme disease story without pictures, please.
I've had 2 spots cut off my face for
wear your sunscreen.
Yeah, wear sunscreen. I don't normally get sunburn, so I never wear sunscreen. And
actually,
since that's happened, I put it on my face.
Yeah, I usually put it on my face, but I'm the same way. And like, I haven't done field work in a while, but even just being outside, like, wear your sunscreen, people.
Wear your sunscreen.
I'll see if I can't.
I was actually going to show you. Yeah,
my farmer town.
My arms are just being at the bay for a couple of days. I forgot to put it on one day, and my shoulders burned, and I was like, ooh. I haven't had a sunburn in a long time. Like, my dad had skin cancer. So
you also haven't seen sun in like 6 months either.
That's true. Yeah, so Jesse really hasn't left his basement.
Your vitamin D levels are like, wait, I hope you're taking a multivitamin.
Yeah. What's the thing? What am I going to get? Rickets or what's the vitamin D deficiency that like I remember, like, we always learned growing up, like, breaker boys, the little children they would send into the mines would get it because they wouldn't see sunlight, because you get it a lot when you're developing.
Parakeets?
I think I think it's rickets.
Canaries, canary Nicole Myers, canary.
It's soft bone. It's vitamin D deficiency, and like your legs bow. But they're seeing an uptick in it from kids that play too many video games. That like they're not going outside enough. Because you get vitamin D from the sun. But yeah, right. I'm in my basement. Anyhow, rocks.
So rocks. All right, you guys want to hear Jesse really go off on a tangent? I got this news story. Let me send this over to the fellows right now.
I don't want to let you down here.
No, I mean, like, I know Jesse loves this topic. We've had some research where Jesse and I have tinkered with the Ordovician period.
These fossils.
Yeah. No, it's actually the headline's a little wonky, but the news story's pretty cool.
That's a really pretty picture.
You're a pretty picture.
Thanks.
So let's so gentlemen, for the listeners out there, let's talk about the Alvarez family, right?
Yeah.
With the we've talked about the Chicxulub impact crater many times in this podcast. It's one of our go-to topics on this podcast. It's one of the sexiest topics that's out there in all of geology. Like, you kill the dinosaurs. Everyone loves the dinosaurs, right? So the Alvarez family, it was a father-son team, I guess you could say, and they're the ones that they initially they hinted at the fact that the dinosaurs were taken out by an asteroid impact. Actually, we talked about this last week in our great debate of asteroids versus meteors versus meteorites
versus the Deccan traps and volcanism. Yes.
But we talked about asteroids, though.
Yeah,
We did.
and how it's technically a meteorite once it hits the Earth's surface. But carry on.
I just don't know enough. I don't know enough to.
I don't know either. I'm just sticking to my guns. I'm saying it with confidence, so you must believe me.
There you go. Donald Trump does that a lot too. Anyway, politics. No politics.
Come on,
politics.
man.
The father, Louis Alvarez, won the Nobel Prize in physics.
Yeah,
Not for that, but he was a physicist.
I saw that in the headlines.
He
Sometimes
developed.
smart people are just smart.
Yeah, he
Smart.
developed something.
You heard it first, ladies and gentlemen, at the Geology Flannelcast. Smart people are just smart. That might have been the most insightful thing you've ever said, Peterson.
They're just smart. Yeah, what did he do? He did something with hydrogen or something.
Hydrogen.
Yeah.
People did a lot of bad things with hydrogen.
Yeah. I think,
A lot of explosive things with hydrogen. Very, very, very explosive things with hydrogen.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I wonder
I love in this article, they're talking about quarries and how limestone might hold some meteorite impacts. And they're like, in a limestone quarry, when they find a piece that looks like it might hold a space rock, they call Professor Schmitz. Yeah, right. How often does that happen?
I think
the quarry that some dude is
one single quarry.
No, I understand, but
how many space rocks are hitting this single quarry?
Yeah.
Well, that's where the story comes in. All right. All right. So let's talk about the Alvarez father and son real fast. Walter and what was the father's name?
Louis.
Luis.
I knew Walter. So these were the guys that basically hypothesized that there was an asteroid impact that hit the Earth 66 million years ago, and that was what took out the dinosaurs. And they came up with this hypothesis because at the KT boundary all over the world, that's the boundary. KPG. I'm old school. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Whatever. Semantics right there.
Hey, I don't want to get emails.
We will get them. So
I want to get less emails.
It's just, anyways. So just ignore that. So what they noticed was at this boundary that where the dinosaurs went out, the end of the Mesozoic era, start of the Cenozoic era. Can't go wrong saying that, right? There was a high concentration of the element iridium. Now, iridium is very rare in the Earth's crust. And so they hypothesized that the only way to get this high concentration of iridium was there had to have been some kind of impact. So they threw that hypothesis out there, and then sure enough, boom! They eventually found the crater. It's the Chicxulub crater at the on the Yucatan Peninsula. Excuse me, I forgot it for a second there. Whoopsies. So, anyways, that kind of started this whole thing about it really got not even started. It really gave a boom to this whole asteroid impact or extraterrestrial impact to the Earth.
Is that a pun?
A boom. What?
Asteroid impacts a boom.
Yeah, well, it's a really big boom.
That's what I'm saying. It was a pun.
Okay.
I ruined your flow. Carry on. Just because
All right,
you don't understand my enormously witty
I write it down. I'm
pun.
going to talk
Carry
about
on.
Peterson's first flub of the day. Right, Roland? Right?
Come on. Like I said during our live podcast, Chris doesn't get to edit me as much.
No, well, that might make it. No, I'm joking. I'm the captain.
All right. I'll just be
All
over here.
So now there's, people have taken that mindset now and have kind of evolved their ideas now. And what, let's see, this article that's in the news right now is looking at, let's see, it's a guy by the name of, his name is Professor Schmitz. What's his first name?
Professor.
Professor.
He was born for this job.
Like everywhere in this article, it just says professor.
It's his burger.
Professor.
It's Burger Schmitz. He's a
Sounds delicious.
Swedish gentleman.
Yeah,
And
the quarries in Sweden.
Yeah, and what they've been doing is looking at these limestone quarries, and they're looking at things called these like meteorite fossils. And I guess that's where the material, I never heard of this term before this article, so excuse me for this, but I guess is when the original material has somehow chemically been altered and maybe weathered down or something, but they find this evidence of these impacts, and they're like really small in these limestone quarries. And so I guess this guy had this hookup with these limestone quarries, and they're carving out limestone for floor tiles and just whatever type of industrial purposes. And they find these little black smudges in the limestone, and they're very small. It's not like we're not dealing with
a tenth of a millimeter long.
Some of them can be up to a few centimeters across.
Right, but
the one that they're talking about in this article.
Yeah, they said he told his student at the time.
Oh yeah.
Take 5 kilograms of this rock and dissolve it in hydrochloric acid, and then
it's chromite, right? Is that what the mineral was?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So there's this mineral chromite that's in meteorites. It's a really hardy mineral. It just kind of hangs out forever. And if you dissolve if you take any intro to geology professor will tell you that limestone dissolves when you put it into acidic conditions. And so what they're doing is they're dissolving out all of the calcite that's in the limestone. And so see you later, flush all that crap out. And then you're just left with all the impurities. And they're finding chromite. And they're using that chromite, and they're saying that's from these it's like tiny little, like, quote, space dust, right?
Yeah. So imagine something's entering the atmosphere, like a meteor shower, right? We've all seen those. When you see them streaking across the sky, and there's not, if you've ever seen a meteor shower where you see like one a minute, there's not like chaos on the other side of the planet where all those meteorites are hitting the surface. Mm-hmm. They actually hit the atmosphere. They break up into, essentially dust, and then, just rain down on the planet. Well, imagine a perfect collector system like an ancient limestone, ocean environment where they're just hitting and just settling down and then being trapped in the limestone for us to find 400 million years later.
We get like 200 to 400 tons of new material a day. We receive in terms of space debris.
Space!
Wow.
Dust!
It's a lot. It always amazes me. So this article starts off by saying that in the country of Wales, an average of 2 olive-sized space rocks will fall in a year.
Wow, Wales is pretty small.
Wales, yeah, I didn't think about that. Like,
yeah. It makes me hungry for olives too.
Yeah.
So yeah, by the time it hits the Earth, I guess that's where this article is based out of. I don't know, but by the time it hits the Earth in Wales, quote, whatever, for this thought experiment, they're about the size of olives. It's twice a year. So what they're finding is, let me go back to where I was. So they found out that at this one quarry, they think the flux of meteorites is about 100 times greater than it is today. And so then if you look at an area the size of Wales, it wouldn't be 2 meteorites a year, it would be 200. And so they look at this like, holy crap, like, this is something's.
500 million years ago, we were getting 100 times more meteorites.
Yeah, I think it was during the Ordovician period. So so 460. I think they said 460 million, 400-ish.
Yeah, 466 million year old rock is what they said.
Yeah.
So almost 500 million years.
Yeah. So they're looking at this and they're like, holy, like, wow, something was going on back then, and and so it's not like. One thing that you have to understand is, they were looking at one site here, and we have to kind of think about that there might be some bias in the sampling going on, and they kind of, in this article, you can go to geologyflannelcast.com. We post all of these articles we talk about on the website there if you want to read it and learn more about it than what we talk about. But there might be some kind of like study bias going on with this one website, which I think is pretty cool. The article you don't really see too many articles that say some of the pitfalls that might be associated with the, with the flaws with the study. But that's how science works, and I commend them guys for putting that in this article. So anyway, so they're looking at in this one limestone quarry. Basically dissolving out the rock and looking at these meteorites. So anyways, so they're talking about the Ordovician period, and we've talked about this in the past, and I think that something had happened. They're we know in the Ordovician period that there was some type of there was glacial activity during this time, and this article is kind of connecting the meteorites, the abundance of meteorites that we have, to the glacial activity during the Ordovician. And this is this is why I like to I threw this topic out there, because I know Jesse's all about this topic about glacial activity in the Ordovician.
Yeah, love it.
What do you think? I mean,
oh man! So I just pulled up the actual paper. There's a Science Advances from.
Yeah, was it the one from 2004?
No, I'm looking at the Berger Schmitz put a paper in Science Advances from last September.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I didn't actually read through it yet, but.
No, I mean, I didn't read through that.
I mean, it's a legitimate journal. That's interesting.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting because.
Yeah,
we know that there is evidence in the rock record that there was during the Ordovician period.
Yeah,
you said like 460-ish million years ago that there was glacial activity going on. And
the main glacial activity was at the end Ordovician, which is like 440, 443. But at 460 whatever, 466. There's some thought that there's glacial, because there's these big biodiversity like events, and you get one of the like rapid biodiversity events, and one of the thoughts is glaciation, fluctuating sea level, is going to cause major changes in biodiversity, because most of your life 440, it's all in the ocean essentially at this point.
There's really nothing on land, is there?
And so and it's all life. Even today, is near the coast. And so glacial events that cause sea level to fluctuate is going to impact the shorelines. And so that's
you're going to cause all those environments to go crazy. So you have to adapt or die.
Yeah, it's called the Great Ordovician Biodiversification Event, GOBE. Unless it's maybe it's Arrested Development. We can call it Job. That's interesting. I'm excited to read this paper. I'm glad you brought this up. You just made my day.
I know, like, the things that Jesse enjoys. I know he loves the Younger Dryas.
But I'll tell you what, it makes me think, like, what else are we missing? Like
Yeah.
in all these
A
limestone
lot.
beds?
A lot. Like, no, it's just, I mean, in the article, they talk about how, like, I think I don't want to screw this up, but I think one person that commented on this article, or one person that the authors of this article asked for comment, said, I don't envy these people for dissolving out all of these tons of limestone with acid. Like that sounds like that's a job for an unfortunate grad student. Like,
Yeah, and it literally says like I had my student dissolve this stuff.
Yeah.
But 5 kilograms of rock to get 10 tiny fragments. I mean, 5 kilograms of rock is not. It's not. It's less than a loaf of bread.
Was it only from this one site, or were there multiple sites?
I think they're talking about this one site.
One single. And that's what I'm saying. Talking about the bias. In the article, they talk about the sampling bias, like what's going on here,
So this is interesting. Yeah, if they can find another, say, limestone site, even nearby, it'd be interesting, because there was a similar case where they thought the Younger Dryas was an impact event, because people found these micro.
I thought do you know much about that, Jesse?
I do.
He does.
So is that gaining steam, that there was an impact event in the Younger Dryas? It's not?
The original one that they thought where they were finding like the buckyball structures, the micro diamonds in North Carolina and whatnot. No, because they didn't find them anywhere else. And that was part of it. They sampled like this area down there, and they found them. Said they found them, but you don't find them anywhere else. And that was part of the issue, is
allegedly,
if the impact is in Greenland,
why are you only finding them in North Carolina?
Yeah, and you're not, like, and they were sampled elsewhere, and you're not finding similar. And I think that was one of the things with the Alvarez, is like, you should find iridium, right? And so they sampled in the KT boundary in Gubbio, Italy, and they found the iridium spike. And so, all right, look elsewhere. And elsewhere, when you look at the KT boundary, you find the same iridium spike around the world. And so it'd be interesting. But even if, sampling bias, like this looks really interesting.
But what I'm saying is any limestone bed is a perfect receptor for space dust.
That's what
like it's essentially what Antarctica is now. Antarctica is just this,
So
vast.
so for people that don't know, that's how a lot of geologists find these meteorites today. Is they'll go down to Antarctica during the summertime. Literally, all you got to do is jump on a snow ski. What are those things called? The snowmobiles. A snowmobile.
No
just
ski.
start. Oh, thank you.
Oh,
all right.
Brilliant. It wasn't that a Comcast commercial, the Slowskis?
Yeah, it was.
All you gotta do is jump on a snowmobile, and you know what? I quit. I'm done.
I'm sorry. Carry on.
For those of you that want to,
these confounded contraptions. Carry on.
Steve puts his glasses back on, and for those of you that actually want to learn today, okay?
It's not called a snow ski. It's called a snowmobile, but carry on.
Even a snow machine, some people call it.
Yeah. So they jump on a snowmobile, and they can travel around real fast and just look for black dots, which are essentially meteorites. Because
thank you for stealing my thunder right there. Yes. Or any type of rock that's on the top of the snow. Or they'll also go to like some of these deserts, I think, as well, because it's like that's it. It's the only way you're gonna get this rock like in the middle of nowhere. It comes from
and well, with
sky.
Antarctica too, the rocks are usually darker, so the albedo helps heat them up, which helps melt the snow a little bit, which, like you said, in the summer helps. Essentially,
aren't we just a plethora of knowledge on this topic.
Yes, because I know what a snowmobile is.
Wow. Next time, Peterson, next time you flub a word, all right? I tell you, I'm not going to edit any of this out, all right? I'll leave it in there, all right? I'm the captain, all right?
Anyway, no, you're right, Chris. But you're correct. That's essentially how it's a big wide white canvas, and all you have to do is look for the black dots, and there you go. You have meteorites, because that's pretty much the only reason they would be on the surface there.
Yeah. So one other thing with this study was they were I just lost it. They were here it is. So they were looking at about 466 million years ago, which is the middle of the Ordovician period. They were potentially looking. They think there was a massive collision in the asteroid belt. And that kind of spewed out a lot of large meteorites and potentially caused this gargantuan cloud of dust.
That's not the late heavy bombardment, right?
No, that's way
much,
after.
much,
That's
much,
way after.
That's much earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. Jupiter. That goes against Milankovitch and
I like
everything.
it.
The Milankovitch cycles, but it's an outside
Influence.
source, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we kind of see something similar after the asteroid hit that took out the dinosaurs. That's the main hypothesis, that there was a giant cloud from this impact, blocked the sunlight, killed off all the plants, or not all the plants, I shouldn't say that, but majority of the plants, stopped the photosynthesis, and see you later. A lot of stuff died out as a result of that.
See you later, alligator. Except the alligators.
Yeah, alligators lived. Yeah. So that's my story. So there you go.
Cool.
That's a pretty sweet story. I'm on board.
Yeah, I like it.
So if you're out there, just start dissolving out some limestones and just see if you find any chromite left behind.
But honestly, why not? Why not try it?
Well, the interesting thing about this, I'd never heard of a meteorite fossil before I read this article.
So the meteorite, that's, I don't know. I feel like that's a misnomer. When I hear meteorite fossil, I think there's a fossil in the meteorite from some other.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same thing. I was thinking about when I was reading this article was about how sometimes people call paleosols fossilized soil. And it's like, well, it's not a fossil. And I never liked that term about how sometimes some people have called paleosols fossilized soil. So.
No, it's kind of a facies, I guess. I don't want to get myself in trouble. You know, it's a recording of a depositional environment.
It's an altered deposit. That's all it is.
But you're recording the alteration based on plant or
superficial processes.
Superficial processes, but
biosurficial processes.
Right. So there has to be life involved in order for you to get the soil, which means if there's life involved, why can't it be a fossil?
What came first, the fossil, the soil?
It's
or
like
the soil or the animal, excuse me.
No, but it's like a trace fossil. Yeah. Trace fossil isn't really a fossil, but it's a trace of.
Yeah.
So soil, paleo. No, I'm getting angry here. I think a paleosol. I think a paleosol is fossilized soil.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
Because there's evidence of life in that.
Yes, just like a trace fossil.
Because, I mean, when a soil...
But it's many organisms. Usually when you think about trace fossil, like you think of one single organism.
I don't necessarily see it as...
I mean, is there organic material in there? Yeah, but like
But I mean,
I'm not. You guys know more about paleosols than I do.
well, I mean, it's you're getting into tricky territory. On one end, like when a soil is forming, it's active. There's an active transfer of you're adding and subtracting, say, minerals and maybe you're forming clay. There are organisms in there. But then when you bury it, it stops forming that soil. So it's no longer a soil. So you can't really call it a soil, because by definition, a soil has those active processes. So we call it a paleosol. So I don't know if you would call it a fossil soil, but you would call it maybe an ancient soil. But it's the same idea as like limestone. Limestone is made from organisms, right? certain types of organisms. If you can still see the shells, we call fossiliferous. But if they recrystallize,
jeez. You know what? We can go off on this topic. This is a very interesting academic debate here. But like when you see a limestone, I guess the first thought that jumps in my head, and this is just for fun here. Don't jump down my throat, people. All right.
Yeah.
This is a fun thought experiment we're doing here.
Chris at geologyflannelcast.com.
So when you look at a limestone, for example, you can say like, this thing used to be a coral reef, because you can pick out individual fossils.
Mm-hmm.
The soil, like there's a lot of organic material from leaves, roots, etc. Can you pick out specific leaves that formed that soil? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, first of all,
I'm saying?
No, but because that would just be a fossil leaf.
Yeah.
The material is usually broken down enough.
But do you understand my point that I'm trying to make?
No.
If you limestone outcrops, for example, some limestone outcrops, you can say like this thing is a fossilized coral reef.
Yes, I understand that.
And you can pick out individual corals.
Yes.
With a soil, a paleosol, can you? I guess.
No, you can pick out a specific root trace that might be linked to this kind of
root traces. Yeah, and the root trace would be the fossil. That'd be the trace fossil.
Yeah.
Yes, a trace fossil, but
the soil
you have many different soil types that preserve themselves based on their characteristics before they were buried. Buried at depth, I should say. Obviously soil is
I agree 100% with that, but I'm just saying it's a little easier to say that limestones are fossilized material than soils are.
You're preserving evidence of life in a soil. In a coral reef, you're preserving evidence of life.
But it's easier to pick it out. It's easier to pick out the.
Listen, just because it's easy. If it's easy, everybody could do it. It takes a real geologist to understand a paleosol.
That's right. That's what I tell myself.
And so I am outnumbered. So if anybody, for maybe some new listeners out there, we are all sedimentary guys. We're sedimentary rock guys, and Jesse and Steve have a very strong background in paleosols, and I don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Right now, I deal a lot with modern soils, but yeah.
No, yeah. But like you got your past advisor, both you guys, same person, was an expert in paleosols and soils, and that's where your background comes from. But me as an outsider, kind of looking in, saying, don't know if I agree that I would call a paleosol a fossil.
And you'd be wrong.
All right, you hear it first, ladies and gentlemen. Here with all these phones, yes. All right, Eddie, moving on. Fun.
How many times a week do you call me wrong?
Never. I never call you. What?
I've been called wrong like 8 times on this single episode.
Yeah, just today alone. Yeah.
I'm wrong 98% of the time.
Anyway.
No, that was a fun thought experiment.
It was. All right. Do we have another article? Or are we thinking about wrapping it up today? What are we doing?
I got you guys want to talk? I got tons of articles, so you guys let me know if you want to talk about
What
something.
what are we looking like on time here?
Yeah, we're over
We're
an hour.
like an hour, about an hour and 15 in,
Yeah.
little shy of hour 15.
Yeah. What do you say we wrap it
One
up and we
more.
save some of these beauties for our Patreons?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, for all you who are listening and anxiously anticipating what we're going to talk about next, give us $2.
That doesn't get you the stories.
But it'll
$5.
It'll make you feel better. And then you'll realize, like, I should have just given $5 because then I really could have found out what they're going to talk about.
Well,
yeah.
More news stories for the subscribers. All right. Yeah. So I'm fine with wrapping it up right now. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening to this amazing episode of the Geology Flannelcast, episode 50. Where are we at? 55.
50. We celebrate.
55. Yeah.
I like also self-proclaimed amazing episode. This is an amazing episode.
I mean,
but
why not?
Yeah. Sammy Hagar said he can't drive 55, so it must mean something.
What's the saying? It's better to ask for forgiveness than for permission, right?
Yeah. I don't know how that relates to this, but yeah.
We're saying it's an amazing episode, and
oh no, I get what you're saying. Yes.
All right, everyone.
Yeah. But seriously, check us out on Patreon. If you have $1 to spare, or $2 to spare, or $5 to spare, or some undisclosed wealth that you want to spare, please check us out on Patreon. Geology Flannelcast.
All the money we make on Patreon goes right back to the podcast. Nobody's making a profit off of this. It's just we need some equipment. Basically, it's what it comes down to. So, and if you're able to help out, we would greatly appreciate it. For all those people that have helped out in the podcast for sponsoring the podcast, thank you so much.
Yeah, Formatting Formula. Thank you. They've been there since almost the beginning. So thank you very much, Formatting Formula.
Yes, thank you very much. And even if you can't help out with the podcast, just tell a friend.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, listen, I listened to these nerds argue about fossilized soil. I didn't know soil could get fossilized. You got to hear how dorky these guys are.
Exactly. Yeah. Listen, everybody knows at least somebody, or knows somebody who knows somebody who is interested about rocks and or dirt. So that's my 3 degrees of separation. I believe that in my heart. That
if you drove anywhere today, you can thank a geologist for finding that oil. And geez, that's going to set off a whole thing about hatred against the oil industries. But
no, but if you drove anywhere today and you drove past a bunch of rocks, chances are there's a geologist who's thankful that Department of Transportation cut into those rocks so we could look at them.
Or if you turned your lights on in your house, chances are, unless you're on solar energy. Well, I know if you were even on solar energy, then geologists found the minerals to make the solar panels.
Yeah, there's nothing you don't use in your everyday life that a geologist.
Yeah, that's part of being a Patreon.
That's really what it comes down to.
You get to do the Stump the Geologist, and you get to ask Jesse, which makes him really stressed, but like slightly excited because
he likes it. He secretly loves us. Yeah.
So far he hasn't really been stumped. So, just saying. If that's not enticement enough to be a Patreon, I don't know what is.
I think that's the reason your brother's a Patreon.
It's been a battle. It's been. I love watching this. I'm happy that he's not pissed off at me.
Yes. Just quickly, we have a Patreon who's been listening in the background all day today. Mark, thank you very much for being there and listening. We appreciate it. So, again, that's another little perk you get to be as a Topaz member. Is that Topaz? Or is that Quartz?
Topaz, Quartz. I should know this. I think Quartz. You can watch Quartz. You can watch the episodes.
Topaz, you get to you get extra content. You get to pick content. Yeah,
you pick a topic, and then you can pick a topic to watch Jesse squirm.
Yeah, and apparently Diamond member, which we haven't really officially set up yet. You get to watch Jesse podcast while he jumps on his bed.
It's set up. It's there. Yeah. So if you want to watch Jesse reenact the 1979 video by the Smashing Pumpkins. First, if you're young, you don't know who the Smashing Pumpkins are, you can watch that video on YouTube and then say,
I went from my house doing it.
Yeah.
Go down the street. But
Yeah. Over the last 4 or 5 months, I've seen people like Zoom like that. And I'm like, come on. I understand you don't care because you're not really paying attention, but the rest of us are getting car sick. Come on.
Yeah, it's not moving to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'd like to thank everybody that listened to the episode. We love you guys. Thank you so much for everyone listening. Write us a review on iTunes. I don't know. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/Geology Flannelcast, Twitter @GeoFlannelcast. And
yeah, maybe we can get Kawasaki to sponsor us for their snow skis.
Oh, yeah. Flannelcast themed snow ski. Shout out to our sponsor, Keeps the Lights On, Formatting Formula.
I just want to say one thing before this podcast ends.
Nope. We're done.
I have a very good friend that says he went snow skiing. All right, and I always thought that was weird to hear someone say snow skiing, but he has a boat and he goes water skiing. I'm going water skiing this weekend. All right, so there's a difference between snow skiing and water skiing.
There is, yes, yeah. Seriously, what circles are you rolling in?
Don't you worry about it. Come down to Atlanta. All right.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Orleans.
Yeah. Too soon. Anyway.
Yeah.
Social distancing on the lake. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. This wraps it up for this week. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good.
All right. Love you guys. Bye.